Hello everybody and welcome back to the Red Jacket Lawyers channel. I hope you like what we've been doing so far, and if you do so, please feel free to press like and to subscribe to our channel, and of course ring the bell so you are always up to date whenever we have something new. Talking about new, today we are going to speak about the entrepreneurial company, the Unternehmergesellschaft UG, and it's also commonly referred to as the Mini-GmbH. So what is it about? Many founders want the security and the professional image of a limited liability company, but in Germany that comes with quite a substantial price tag right at the start in the form of a 25,000 euro minimum capital for a GmbH, and we have discussed this before. And because there was a lot of usage of foreign entities in Germany to circumnavigate that capital requirement, the German legislator in 2008 set about to create a new company form to address that problem, and so the entrepreneurial company was introduced. Technically, it's really a subtype of a GmbH to make entrepreneurship easier and to reduce the number of foreign entities registered in Germany purely for the purpose of circumnavigating German capital requirements. It allows for a share capital from as little as €1, and the ceiling effectively is at €24,999, so just a penny below the GmbH's starting point. So it is clearly geared towards small businesses and startups, and despite its low capital, it provides for full limited liabilities, for entire protection of shareholders and personal assets, and generally they are protected from business debts. However, it is important to understand that these protections are only granted where the corporate formalities are adhered to and properly observed, such as separate accounting and proper registration. And for that purpose, I refer you back to our various videos on the GmbH, where that was outlined, because the UG strictly follows the GmbH's concept there. So let's talk briefly about the distinction of a UG from a GmbH. What they have in common is the core structure of managing directors, of shareholders, and the same statutory framework taking the shape of the GmbH law. Key differences, however, include the lower capital that I have already mentioned and mandatory profit retention rules. Basically, under the law, you have to retain a certain margin of your profit every year and stash it in a fund to eventually grow the capital to €25,000, i.e. the same as a GmbH will have. Incorporation is simpler than with a GmbH, and you can use the model articles, but they are only suitable for a very basic setup, but they are available. In practice, UGs are often perceived to be less credible than fully fledged GmbHs, especially by banks and suppliers and larger business partners. And that's not entirely surprising, because they are obviously people who rely on their counterparties' financial stability and viability, and given that the UG's capital by definition is lower than that of a GmbH, they know that they need to be a little bit wary. So look at the UG as a stepping stone, as a starting point towards entrepreneurship, and not as a long-term substitution for a GmbH. So, giving you a simple practical example, I suggest you imagine a small tech startup with 500 euros and 2 partners. They can incorporate within days, gain limited liability, and begin operations as a limited liability company. However, with such a small equity buffer and early losses quickly consuming the capital, they do of course run always at a bit of a financial risks. And many founders underestimate the reputational and operational consequences of running on very little capital. So it's an opportunity, but it also is a risk. In closing, I think I'd like to say that the UG was designed to effectively lower the entry barriers to entrepreneurship, and it works best when treated as a first stage towards building a properly capitalized GmbH. In the next video, we'll explore the typical pitfalls that founders should avoid for the aforementioned reasons. I hope you like what we did. Please let us know your comments.